Hi, everyone. Welcome in, and thank you for joining me this Friday. Hope you guys are doing well. So, today we're going to take a look at Alphabet stock. So, the big tech giant company Alphabet reported its quarter one 2025 earnings yesterday. So, in this video, we're going to do three different things. Number one, we're going to take a look at some news articles about the earnings report. Number two, we're going to take a look at the stock chart for Alphabet stock. And number three, we're going to take a look at price targets for the stock. Basically, what analysts think the stock will be in 12 months. And I'll also share my opinion about the stock. So, very good stuff to take a look at today. And before we get started with that, I would like to mention that on my YouTube channel, I create content about money, sports, and personal topics with the goal of bringing value to other people's lives. So if you guys find value in this video and other videos that I create, consider subscribing to my YouTube channel so that I can continue making this content. All right, let's go ahead and jump into it. All right, guys, let's take a look and see what Alphabet stock is up to today. So they already have the stock symbol up here for us, GOOGL. All right, Alphabet stock is trading at $161.60. It is up $2.33, which is an increase of 1.46%. So looks like the stock is having a pretty good day today. So let's go ahead and see if we can find some news articles about the earnings report. All right, we'll go ahead and get started with this CNBC article right here. All right, Alphabet shares rise on stronger than expected revenue growth. Some key points here. Alphabet reported revenue of $90.23 billion and earnings per share of $2.81. The company's shares rose as much as 4% on stronger than expected revenue growth. And Alphabet's search and advertising units are still showing strong growth despite AI competition heating up, according to its first quarter earnings report. All right, and here we see the CEO of Alphabet, Sundar Pichai. And it looks like Alphabet had a very good quarter to start off the year. All right, so let's take a look at this right here. So Alphabet, the parent company of Google and YouTube, reported stronger than expected first quarter growth on Thursday after the bell. Shares rose more than 5% in after hours trading. And let's take a look at some specific numbers here. So the company reported revenue of $90.23 billion versus the expectation of $89.12 billion. So they beat on the top line, and on the bottom line on earnings per share, they reported $2.81 versus $2.01 that was expected. So they had a solid beat on revenue, but a very good beat on earnings per share. So very good financial results for Alphabet. And let's take a look at a few of these other metrics here. So as far as YouTube advertising revenue, it came in at $8.93 billion, but the expectation was $8.97 billion. So a slight miss there. On Google Cloud revenue, came in at $12.26 billion. The expectation was $12.27 billion. And traffic acquisition costs were $13.75 billion versus $13.66 billion expected. All right, so they missed on a couple of the minor metrics there, but overall, they beat on the most important metrics. So that's very good to see. So we'll just read this a little bit more. So Alphabet's search and advertising units are still showing strong growth despite artificial intelligence competition heating up. The company's overall revenue grew 12% year over year, higher than the 10% that Wall Street expected. All right. The company's search and other segment reported $50.7 billion, up 9.8% from $46.16 billion a year prior. And this article also mentions a big acquisition that Alphabet made, where Alphabet made its largest acquisition ever in March when it agreed to buy Wiz for $32 billion in cash. With the acquisition, Google will seek to bolster its cloud division's security offerings. So that's going to be should be another growth driver for Alphabet going forward. All right. So that's good enough as far as this article here. Let's see if we can find a couple other ones here. All right, let's take a look at this Bloomberg article, see what it says here. Alphabet's sales beat estimates on Google search ad business. So it just mentions again, Google parent Alphabet reported first quarter revenue and profit that exceeded analyst expectations. Right after the report, the stock was up around 4 to 5%. It's cooled off a little bit since then. All right, let's take a look at this chart a little bit to see if it gives some good information. Google draws more profit from cloud as growth slows. All right. So cloud revenue growth is still in the 20s to 30% range. So that's very good. Cloud operating income, you can see from the past few years that it's just consistently growing. So that's good to see. All right, let's see if there's another good article we can take a look at. All right, this article has an interesting title here. So Google claims AI investments will mitigate impact of trade policy shifts on ad sales. Google chief business officer said he expects US tariffs will weigh on the firm's advertising business in 2025. However, he mentioned that Google's continued investment in AI will mitigate the impact. All right, so that's good to hear as well. And this is the last article we'll take a look at. So Google's Gemini usage is skyrocketing, but rivals like ChatGPT and Meta AI are still blowing it out the water. Google says Gemini has 350 million monthly active users. Google's AI chatbot, Gemini, has seen massive user growth. It's trailing behind rivals like ChatGPT and Meta AI. Data Google displayed in court showed Google revealed the data during the remedies phase of the company's search antitrust case. ChatGPT has now reached 1.2 billion daily queries. So we can see that there's a lot of competition as far as the AI chatbots, but Alphabet's Gemini is doing pretty well. Looks like it's in third place after ChatGPT and Meta AI. All right, and just the other thing I wanted to mention about Alphabet stock is that the main headwind or potential issue for Alphabet stock is that it's going through a antitrust case where in the future a judge might rule that Alphabet has a monopoly as far as its Google search platform. So that's been causing some headwinds for the stock. But all that is already priced into the stock. So whatever happens in that case, I don't think it'll have too much trouble for Alphabet stock and for the company going forward. But it's just something I would like to mention that the company is going through right now. All right, that's good enough as far as news articles. Next, we'll take a look at the stock chart. All right, let's take a look at Alphabet stock chart. All right, so this is the one-day chart for Alphabet stock. So again, the stock is up $2.26, up 1.42%. We can see that the stock was up all the way in the 165 range earlier today when the market opened up. So it was up around 4 to 5% earlier today and yesterday. But since then it's just cooled off a little bit today, just up $2 to $3 right now. Let's take a look at the 5-day chart. So the stock has gone up significantly just in 5 days. So on Monday, April 21st, the stock was around 147, 146. So it's gone up literally 4 days in a row. So if you bought it around 146 and change, it just continued to go up into the 150s, high 150s, and now it jumped up to the mid 160s, and it cooled off a little bit in the past couple of hours, but just in 5 days, the stock has gone up significantly. So very impressive, just over a 1 week span there. 1 month chart. So for 1 month, the stock is down a little bit over 5%. 3 month chart, the stock is down around almost 20%. So the stock was around $200 right here. And 3 months later, we can see it's gone consistently down. down into the 140s. But if you're, able to buy it in the 140s, now it's gone back up to 160. So it's having a very nice growth in the last week or so. So let's take a look at the 1 year chart. So the stock has been, in between $150 and 200 within the last year. Let's take a look at 3 year chart. So this is a pretty good looking growth chart. So the stock is up 42% over the past 3 years. So it was in the around $100. And now look at all this growth that the stock has had since then. It has had, some significant dips like here. And now we just went through this significant dip here. So my expectation is that after this significant dip, the stock has already recovered to the 160 range and that it'll just continue to go up from here. So that'll be definitely intriguing to watch. 5 year chart, the stock is up 154%. We can see here it was only around $50-$60 right here. And it's gone up significantly. In 2022, it was a correctionary year, so all the stocks pretty much went down. But since 2022, stock has significantly gone up. Now we went through this significant dip and correction here, and now the stock is recovering and should continue to go up, back up to 200. So let's take a look at the max chart. So this stock has been around for 20 years, around since 2004 or 5. And look at all this growth that the stock has had. It's up over 6,000% over all this time frame. It has had, significant dips like here in 2022. But if you got in at these levels, look at all this growth that you would have had. And now it recently went through this correction here where it went from around $200 down to the 140s. But if you got in at around in the 140s, my expectation is the stock will just continue to go up. It's at 162 right now. So my expectation is that the stock will head back up to 200 and 200 plus after that. So that'll definitely be interesting to watch. All right, that's good enough as far as the charts. And next, we'll take a look at some price targets. All right, let's see if we can find some new price targets for the stock that came out after this earnings report. So, all right, so right here on the right, we have some price targets. So, analyst recommendation is a buy on the stock, and that's based on 65 analysts, and that's as of today. So out of 65 analysts, 40 of them have a strong buy rating for the stock, 13 have a buy rating, and 12 have a hold rating, and nobody has a sell or strong sell rating for the stock. So that's very good to see if you're an investor. We see here also 12-month price target based on 49 analysts. The average price target is $204.08. And we see the stock is at around 162 right now. So on average, analysts think that the stock will go up another $40 from current levels in the next 12 months. So that's a very significant and meaningful increase, in the stock price that is expected in the next 12 months. So we'll see if that happens. We hope it does. And the stock was around that price, around 204 or $5 a couple months back. So I also believe the stock will head back to that level and then eventually go up even further than that. So, and also industry recommendation is also a buy. So let's see if we can find some specific price targets from different analysts. So let's see what this says here. So Google parent Alphabet's stock gets price target hikes from JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, posts solid Q1. All right, so this mentions that major Wall Street brokerages hiked their price targets on Google parent Alphabet Inc. after the tech giant posted strong first quarter earnings. All right, so we have a price target right here. JP Morgan raised its price target on Alphabet to 195 from 180 and kept an overweight rating on the shares. We see here it says, meanwhile, Bank of America raised its price target on the stock to 200 from 185 and kept a buy rating on the shares. And here it says Goldman Sachs also upped its price target on Alphabet to $220 from 205. And also here mentions other firms such as Piper Sandler and Bernstein have also raised their price targets on the stock to 195 and 185 respectively. All right, so all of these firms increased their price targets on the stock after quarter one results. Let's see what this article mentions. Google parent Alphabet stock climbs as analysts raise targets on AI-driven growth. All right, we see some price targets right here. Citi analysts raised their price target to 200 from $195, pointing to growing usage and monetization of AI features in search. Some of these might be repeats, but Bank of America likewise raised its price target to 200. Wedbush boosted its target to $200. Jefferies analysts reiterated a price target of $200, while JP Morgan maintained a target of $195. And we'll just do a search here to see if there's some other ones as well. And we already saw some of these, so again, some of these might be repeats, but all right, Alphabet price target raised to 185 from 165 at Bernstein. I believe we saw that one. Alphabet price target raised to 195 from 185 at KeyBank. All right. All right, so as we saw, all the analysts have increased their price targets for the stock after their earnings report. So again, on here, the average 12-month price target right now is at $204. So that's significantly above current levels that the stock is at 162. So the analysts are still very bullish on the stock. All right, just next, we'll summarize what we took a look at today, and then I'll just give my opinion about the stock. All right, guys, we took a look at some good stuff today on Alphabet stock. So number one, we looked at news articles and we saw that Alphabet had a very good quarter one of 2025. They beat on revenue and on earnings and on a lot of the other metrics. And most of the news was very positive. It did mention that there is some increased competition as far as AI. And we also mentioned the antitrust case against Google. And we mentioned that all that is already priced into the stock. So overall, very good news about Alphabet. Number two, we looked at the stock chart. We saw that just in the last 5 days, the stock has gone from the 140s to the 160s. And just in the long run, we saw all the significant growth that the stock has had for all the different time frames. And number three, we took a look at the price targets, where all the analysts have increased their price targets for the stock, and the average is around $204, which would be significantly higher than current levels that the stock is at, which is around 162 per share. All right, so just my opinion about the stock. I think Alphabet stock is one of the best stocks in the market, and I think all investors should consider having it in their portfolio. We saw the significant growth that the stock has had even the last 20 years. And also just in the recent history, we saw the last 5 days just how much it's gone up. It's gone up $20 very quickly. So the stock does go down every once in a while, but historically looking at it, that's always been a good buying opportunity. And obviously, Alphabet is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, tech player in the world. As far as like some negatives or headwinds, we mentioned that there is increased competition as far as AI with ChatGPT, drawing a lot of attention and customers to their platform, and also the antitrust case against Google as far as having a monopoly in like the search business. So, I mean, even with all these headwinds, the company is just growing every single quarter, every single year, and I don't see anything really that would stop that growth for the stock and for the company. So my expectation is that the stock will get back to the 200 level that it was a couple months ago, and then even past that, the stock should continue to climb over the next years up to 250, even $300, in the coming years. So I'm definitely very bullish on the stock and have very good expectations and hopes for the company in general. So we'll hope that the trend continues, and we'll see what happens with the company going forward. All right, guys, that's it for today. So just again, if you guys find value in this video, consider subscribing to my YouTube channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.